This video is going to go over how to add in some details and annotations as well as our views for our drawings. So what I'm going to be doing for this step is referencing the PDF packet that's up on As You Learn, the commercial solution packet, because I'm going to start to just alter and add in some of my additional section views as well as some of these notes and dimensions. Create this new view for our framing plan, as well as then add in some of the detail lines and annotations and tags as well in some of our floor plans. So I'm not going to, in the video, do every single leader or text note or every single dimension. I'm just going to walk through adding in some of these different features in our drawings, as well as starting to clean up some of our views. Some of them I'll finish in the final video for the sheets, but rather this video is to kind of get us ready for getting everything cleaned up, and also to remind you of how to use the dimension tool and how to use the annotation tool, but also then to not necessarily walk through every single part step by step. So I'm just going to have this open on a second screen of mine rather than flipping back and forth the entire time up on this video. So I'm going to start with my level 0 floor plan, and that can be the one that we'll start to clean up. So I'm going to double click in level 0, and immediately there's two issues. These right here are those custom awning components that we made, and for whatever reason they're showing up in here. So if I don't want them visible in this view, I'm just going to right click, hide in view, and I could do element just to hide this single one, or if I do hide in view category, it'll actually just get rid of both of them in there. So it's kind of a two birds, one stone situation. And then as a reminder for how to use the dimension tool is keyboard shortcut DI, and it's already going to faces of core and individual references. But what I'm going to do first is just place a dimension from each grid. We did this in level 1, and then just click up to place. But we also need to do it here, and then one from C to A as well. Whoops, click up to place. And then once we're all done with the dimension, we can hit escape a billion times. If I wanted to move this up, I could just click and drag that one up. I'll place another dimension string, so that's a DI from A to the face of the wall. So I'll click on the wall, and then I'll move out to place. And then we've got some more dimension strings going across. So from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we can click up to place it. And then one that goes from 1 to 5, and then we can click up to place it. So I'm going to escape a bunch of times. I don't like how that's interfering here. So what I'm going to do is just kind of drag this dimension down, so I can drag this dimension down and drag this dimension down in there. So I take this one and drag it down, and you'll see that when you drag it, it'll kind of snap to go with the other ones. I can click on this dimension and delete it purely because I have it over here already. And then for our text notes or our leader notes, we'll start the text tool, which is keyboard shortcut TX, or if I hit escape a bunch of times, it has a shortcut button right up here as well. And I'm going to change my text from 1/4 inch to 3/32. And then for our notes, instead of just placing a general text box, I'm going to add a leader with just a 1 segment line pointing towards this wall, coming out, and then I'll type in its detail. So this is a 12-inch CMU foundation wall. And then I'll place another one for the footing. So I'll click on where I want my arrow. I'll come out to that same length. So it's giving me that dash to let me know I'm at the same mark. 36 by 12-inch concrete footing. And then if I wanted to have a bend like it does here for our pillars, or for our pads underneath our pillars, we can do a 2-segment arrow in which we'll click where you want the bend, and then again I'll come out, and then I'll type 48 inch by 48 inch by 12 inch concrete pad, and then click off. I'll hit escape a bunch of times just to get out of the command in general, and if I ever wanted to like move this, I could just drag to move it up, and I'll drag to move that down as well. And so for details being added to this view, that would be all done here. Our next one in our packet is I'll drag it over for a little bit, would be this, let me just zoom so we can see the title block, would be this framing plan, but we don't have a view for the framing plan currently, so we need to create that as a view. Go over to another screen, the view. So what I'm going to do for that is I'm actually going to duplicate my level 2 view and then make some changes to it. So I'm going to right click on my level 2 floor plan view, and I'm going to duplicate the view, but I don't want to duplicate it with detailing or even as a dependent. I just want to create a duplicate of it. And now I have a copy of level 2, and I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to rename it level 2 dash framing. And then I'm going to want to adjust what this view is looking at. So I want to adjust my view range. So that's over in my properties panel underneath the extents. I'm going to edit the view range, and I'm going to move my cut plane to about -6 or 7 inches. Sometimes this is a game. So I'm going to do -6 inches as my bottom, and then I'll move, or my cut plane rather, and then I'm going to move the bottom. Let's try -4 feet. These two numbers, for whatever reason, have to match, so I don't know why they are two different numbers. I'm going to hit apply, and that seems to work really well, this set of numbers, so now we can see the cut that's happening underneath it. Then I'll click OK. All right, so now I have my level 2 floor plan, just as we had it before, and then I have my level 2 framing plan. There's a few things that I want to hide in this view. So I want to hide this wall right here, this half knee wall. So I'm going to right click, hide in view element. Category would hide all the walls, and I don't want that. I just want that one hidden. I also want, I believe this is that floor. No, so this is the ceiling underneath it. So I can right click, hide in view element. I'm also going to hide this wall here, hide in view element. I'm going to hide the staircase system as well. Whoops. Control Z. Hide in view category to get rid of both railings. Hide in view element or category to get rid of the stairs. And then also these components here for these awnings again. So that's going to be right click, hide in view. Category would get rid of both of them. If you ever hide something and you want to get it back, you can click on this little light bulb here, and that's going to show you everything you have hidden. And then you can click on it, and you can either unhide the element or unhide the category, depending on how you hit it. So again, a couple of things that we'll need in here are like some dimensions. So we will use keyboard shortcut DI to add our dimensions in there. And we'll go from C to B to A, click over to place, from C to A, click to place, from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, click to place, and 1 to 5, click to place. And really that's all we need for the dimension tool. Everything else in here is either going to be a tag or a text box. So to use the tag tool, I'll hit escape a trillion billion times, is keyboard shortcut TG, or this tool right here, it has another shortcut. So we have dimension, tag, and text all kind of have their own little shortcut. And it's going to figure out what you want to tag first. I'm going to uncheck this leader option here. So you can either uncheck it here or here. And then I'm just going to put a tag on one of these. It doesn't really matter which one I pick, as well as a tag then on my I-beam here. And then I'll click and drag on that little move symbol just to move it down because it was in the way a little bit. And those are the two tags that are going to be in this view. And then I'll hit escape a billion trillion times. And I'll start my text tool again. So that's keyboard shortcut TX. I'll do a one segment text towards this wall. I'll move it out. And I'll type 18 gauge metal stud bearing. Whoops, might help if I spell bearing wall. And then I'm still in the text tool. If you left it, you could just type TX again. Click to place. I'll bring it out the same length. 8-inch CMU bearing wall. And then if it has a bend to it, we can use the 2-segment option where we can point, come down, come straight over, and then compile. Let me make sure I spell right. I'm not the best speller. For system over open web steel joists at 4 feet. Oops, that's 4 inches, 4 inches, 4 feet, 0 inches, OC or on center in there. And so I would go add in the rest of my text boxes. I'm not going to place every single one of them in this particular video, but I just want to go over how we can place some of them. Now we have one that's going across our joist here that has 2 arrows on it, and we can't do that by default, but we can add another arrow after the fact. So that's this button here to do my arrow, or if I could escape a bunch of times, again, it's TX to start text. I'm going to do a 1-segment arrow going from 1 to around the middle, and then I'm going to type at 4 feet OC or on center, and then I'm just going to click off to place it. I'll hit escape a bunch of times, and then when I click just once on this text box, I have the ability to add or remove a segment. So I'm going to add a segment to the other side, and then I'll drag it across to the other side of the wall. And then I would finish adding in the rest of my text boxes in here. My next view in my series is my level 1 floor plan. And so in the level 1 floor plan, we already have a few of our dimension strings. I'm just going to pull this one down a little bit for it, but we can continue adding on. Some of them we already made purely just from creating our, while we were creating our floor plan and adding in like our windows. But again, it's keyboard shortcut DI. And then I could go from C to that pad and then click over to place it. I want to go from A to the face of stud in here. And then I'll click over to place it. And then I already have these ones. Let's also do from 1 to 5 and click up to place it and hit escape a bunch of times. I'm going to drag this string down, this string down, and this string down, just so we're not in that floating bubble there. And then again, we have a couple of just regular text where we have our arrows pointing. So again, that's keyboard shortcut TX, pointing add a specific piece, coming out, brick over metal stud wall. And then we have another just one segment arrow to wide cavity wall. Yes. And then we have a few where they have a turn. So we'll do a 2-segment pointing, coming out, concrete entry pad, and then a single segment aluminum storefront system. This one I actually may move. It's just kind of in the way a little bit, or I might leave it there for now as well. And then I've got another dimension from grid 5 to the space here. And I'll bring it down so it's at the same distance these ones are in. So that's some of our dimensions and our text notes. Now we also have a few detail lines and tags in this one as well. So I'll hit escape a bunch of times, and that's keyboard shortcut TG for tag. I'm going to not have it put a leader line on it, and I'm going to tag my 3 windows. So that's 1, 2, 3. I'll hit escape a billion trillion times. Now, in our drawing set, these are tagged as window type A, but by default, they went to window type 19. So I could click on them by doing a slow double click. So I'll click once, I'll click again, and I could change the inside to say A. When I hit enter, it's asking, do I want to change the parameter for all of these windows? So I'll say yes, and now they'll all auto update to A. I can also move my dimension lines by just dragging these grips from the witnesses or these extension lines out of it. And then I'm also going to tag my doors. So that's still keyboard shortcut TG or this button here. And then I can put a tag inside my doors, which they have the wrong numbers, but I can hit escape a bunch and I can slow click to change that to door 1. This to door 2, and this to door 3 in there. Now, additionally, in this view, we've got a room tag, which is tagged differently than with the regular tag tool. So that is this button here, or keyboard shortcut RM. And we can have it where it puts the tag in there automatically. So it's recognizing where the walls are of this room, and I can click to place. I'll hit escape a billion times, and then I can click on that room tag and I can change what it says. So I'm going to call it lease space 101. And then we also have a few detail lines in this view as well. So that's going to be keyboard shortcut DL, or if we go into the Annotate tab, it's this button here. It might be a little bit larger on your screen depending on your resolution. And for a detail line in this bathroom, I'm going to use a hidden, I believe the one that has the word lines next to it. I always mix them up. And I'll make a circle. Oh, nope, just kidding. I want the one that doesn't have the lines. That's 2.5 feet. I can change it now to just plain hidden. So I'll hit escape, click on it, and I want it just plain hidden. So that way it turns out black, which is just representing the turning radius of a wheelchair in this bathroom. And then I'm also going to put another detail line here as well. So again, that's keyword shortcut DL, or in the Annotate tab, I'm going to put a center line between these doors. I'll hit escape a bunch. If I want to make it longer, we can always then hit escape a bunch and pull on some of those grips. And then on level 2, again, we have a couple of tags and we have a couple of dimensions and text notes for it. So again, I'm not going to do every single dimension along with you, but I'll just make a refresher. Is keyboard shortcut DI for the dimension tool, and we can click on the references we'd like to dimension, and then click over to place. I'll hit escape a bunch. Just kind of dragging them to organize them a bit. Keyboard shortcut DI, I'll go from 3 to the face, to 5, and then I'll click up to place it. Hit escape a bunch. If you'd like to move these, you can drag the text box so the text box is out. And that's just kind of, again, a general refresher of placing some of our dimension strings, but I'm not going to do every single one of them in this particular video. For placing our text, it's keyboard shortcut TX, or this button here, or in the Annotate tab, it's also a button in there. Oops. I did TD instead of TX. And we can change if it has one segment or two. And we can click to place, click out, and then type what we want. And then if it has a bend, we can use a 2 segment. Now, if it has a note where it has 2 arrows, so there's a note here that says this is open to below, we can click and then type, hit or click to finish it, hit escape a billion times, and then I can click on this text note and I can add an arrow to the other side. And then if I want to adjust it so it has a bend, I can pull that up, pull that down. So I might even kind of adjust this so it takes up a little less space. So that's how we can make a note that has 2 different arrows on it. And then for our tags is keyboard shortcut TG, or this button here in the Annotate tab, or the shortcut button here. So these buttons are always going to be there no matter which tab you're in. And then I can click on all of my windows. What's kind of nice is they now are auto getting tagged with window type A. I'll hit escape a bunch and just pull some of my dimensions out. I'll click on this dimension to pull it out as well. I could have relieved. I'm going to Control Z. I'm going to leave that alone. Over here as well. And then for my doors, again, keyboard shortcut TG for tag. Just click on this guy because he should be door 4. That one, though, should be 5, so I'll leave that one alone. And then for detail lines in here, I'm going to make sure I use keyboard shortcut DL, or in the Annotate tab, the detail line tool, We're going to have a center line from this window to this door, as well as then I'll hit escape a bunch, DL for detail line, another hidden one of a circle in this bathroom with a 2'6" radius. And then I'm just using the arrow keys on my keyboard to just kind of eyeball it to the middle. And that would be adding in some of our annotative features to all of our views. Our floor plans, again, I'm not going to add every dimension and every text note into my particular one as I work through this video. But that is how we would add them in. And same would go for our elevations. So you'll see in our east elevation, I double click to open that up. There are some text notes in here and some dimensions in here as well. So that would still just be keyboard shortcut DI to start the dimension tool. We could go from one side. And I could click up to place it. I could go from floor to middle to upper part. Click to place it. I've got a dimension from level 2 to the window sill. From 2 to the window header. From really 2 to the parapet type or level 4. Which I'll bring it out to the same length here. And then from 2 to 5. Whoops. Excuse me, 3 to 5. And then I'll hit escape. And then any text boxes or text notes, again, would be keyboard shortcut TX. I could do a 2-segment or a single segment where I place my arrowhead. I'm going to go straight over. And then I could type aluminum awning window. And then I would place all my text boxes in as well. So I can still do all of those notes in here. We'll go over cleaning up some of this view, some more in part 6, but I just wanted to kind of introduce you to how you could clean them up. The last thing we'll do then in this video is we're going to adjust and create some of our section views. So let's go into any one of our floor plans. I'm just going to go back into my level 1 floor plan. And there already is a section view here in level 1. We need to add an additional one. And there's also this section view cutting through our building crosswise, but we still need to add in an additional one because we'll have 4 views in total. If I go into my section 1 view, if I double click on it, this is what we are currently seeing, but what I want it to look like is this one here. And if I kind of make it a little bit smaller so we can look at them side by side, in our view, we're missing like this staircase here, we're missing all of the doors and window details, but for whatever reason, they're just not appearing in our particular drawing. And that's because if I go back into my level 1 floor plan and I click just once on this section, the view isn't going far enough. So it's not cutting through the building. This is the extent of the view. So I'm going to just click and drag that out. And then when I go into my section 1, I can see all of those details in there for it. Same thing in our section 2 view is it's not going far enough, so we can't see our details here. So I'll go back into my level 1 floor plan. I'll click just once on this section cut so I can see its extent. And then I'm just going to drag it out to go further. And now when I go into my section 2 view, I can see all of it. These views have different names in our final product, so I'm going to go ahead and rename them now. So section 1, I'll right click on it and I'm going to rename this to section East-West 1 or E-W1, and section 2, I'm going to right click, I'm going to rename that to section N-South or N-S1. To create our additional views, I'm going to go into my level 1 floor plan, and we have another section cut that's cutting through, or our hope is that it's going through this window here some way, somehow. So to create a new section view, the shortcut is going to be this button right here, right next to your 3D view shortcut, or keyboard shortcut SE, or in the view tab, and then it's its own button here. So I'm going to create a building section. I'm going to click to start where I want my head, and then click for my tail. If I happen to miss the window, it's okay. I can hit escape a bunch. I can click just once on this section, and I could just zoom and use my arrow keys to just kind of nudge it. So I want it going through that window, not really interfering with this tag at all. And then I'm just going to drag the section head so it sits nice and flush, and I'll drag the tail as well for it. And then I'm going to right click and rename on this new section that was made, and I'm going to call this section E-W2. So this is going to be my section East-West number 2. And I'm going to make another section that cuts through my staircase kind of landing here. So I'll click on my section tool up here. I'll click to start it, click to end it. If it's not going through that landing, I could always just use my arrow keys to nudge it around. And then I'm going to move that section head down so it sits flush with this one. And the same thing with the tail. I'll move the tail down so it sits nice and flush. And then I'm going to right click, rename. I'll call it section N-S2. So now I've got all 4 of my required building sections, but let's go and clean some of them up a little bit. So I'm going to go into the 2 new ones I made, so section East-West number 2. What I want to do is join all of my geometry, kind of like what's happening here. So this was when it auto asked if we liked to join, and if we said yes, it'll auto join them together. If we didn't, we can use the keyboard shortcut JG for join geometry, which is a custom keyboard shortcut. If you didn't put in my custom keyboard shortcuts, you need to click on something, and then it's this button here. But I'm going to join the wall to this floor, the wall to the ceiling, the wall to the foundation to the floor, the wall to the floor, the footing to the foundation. If you have thin lines turned on at the moment, this is a kind of a harder step to do. So again, TL is the keyboard shortcut to turn thin lines off, so that way you can see your geometry. And again, I'll do footing to foundation wall to floor, floor to wall, wall to foundation, ceiling to wall, wall to floor. And then this one here was auto joined, but if it hadn't, I could join it together. I'm going to go into my north-south view number 2 and just check my connections here as well. So again, that's keyboard shortcut JG, and I'll do this wall to this piece of floor, this wall to there, wall to ceiling, wall to wall. That was auto joined. Floor to my knee wall, ceiling to my knee wall, ceiling to this wall, wall to this floor, wall to that bit of floor, wall to floor, foundation to floor, wall to foundation, foundation to footing, footing to foundation, foundation to floor, floor to wall. So I'm just trying to make it all one kind of flowy piece. Footing to foundation, foundation to floor. And the reason why I opted to do this in the two new views I made, the east-west 2 and the north-south 2, is because their detail level is set to coarse. So if I go into north-south 1, we'll see that this has a little bit more detail in here, which, whoops, I still gotta do a little joining. JG, this wall, the foundation. But because of that detail level, it just makes it a little harder to see. Same thing then if I go into east-west number 1. I could have come in here and put my detail level back on course, so that way it all goes away, but it just kind of made my job a little bit easier. I'll also go into my east-west 2 view, and I'm gonna adjust my detail level in this one to medium, so that way I can see some of that detail in there. And the same thing with my north-south 2 view as well. I'll change my detail level to medium. Now, last couple of things that we'll do to adjust it is if we look at our details here in our north-south views and our east-west views, is just kind of how our floors are showing up, how our roofs are showing up as well. So you'll notice here in section northwest number 2, we have kind of these ridges appearing on our floors. And then in the north or in the east-west views, there are no ridges. And that just depends on how we have our floor span. So you may have them there, you may not. When I look at I could get this on the other screen again. Please go to the other screen. When I look at my north-south view number 2, I only have ridges on this floor and I don't have them anywhere else. So to fix that, I'm going to click on this roof, or rather this floor here, and then I'm going to click Edit Boundary, and it says we can't really edit the floor plan's sketch or the floor plan's boundary in this view. What view do you want to go in? And it's not really going to matter which one, so I'll go into level 0 just to prove that point. I'll say Open View. And it's really what we want to do is change which way our span goes. So I want to move these 2 little lines. So I'm going to click on span direction, and then I'll click on this line. I'll hit my green check. I'm going to click Don't Attach. And then when I go back into my section view, let's go back into north-south number 2, we can see that it has those ridges there. So same thing for this one. I'm going to click on this roof, Edit Boundary. Doesn't matter which one you go in there, Open, and then I'm going to click on Span Direction, click this line to switch the span direction, and then I'll hit my green check. And then when I double click to go back into north-south 2, I have those ridges. And if this one wasn't giving me ridges, I would click on this floor, Edit Boundary, and I would go change the span direction again, but that one is giving me the correct one for it. And then in my north-south view number 1, we have a few annotations and details in here. So again, that would be the keyboard shortcut TX for text, where we can point, come out, and over, and then I could type my text. I could also go for my here, composite deck floor. And I could type in all of my various text boxes. And then again, for my dimensions is keyboard shortcut DI, where we can dimension to the top of that, as well as from the floor to the bottom. And then we have a dimension from the ceiling to the floor as well in there. And so that is adding and adjusting our views and adding our text box and dimensions. I would recommend having a kind of copy of the drawing set from the solution file open, because again, the video did not place every single dimension and every single text box, but rather is just highlighting kind of how to do those. In the next video, we are going to tackle the wall sections.